Hey, this is Patrick with the Mad Bros Media Zoom show and podcast. And here's David with us and our very special guest, Larry Hankin. Yay!
Ooh.
All right.
Hooray!
Legendary
All right.
Larry Hankin. How you doing?
Well, so far, okay. Like I told you before, I'm sequestered in place. You know, I don't know. Well, what state are you guys in?
We're in Washington State.
Washington. So you're on the West Coast. So
yeah,
you're kind
or
of
Tacoma. If you know Washington, it's like Tacoma, Seattle.
yeah, but I mean, how is the sequestering? How is the COVID-19? How are you guys doing up there?
We've been secluded. I mean, it's been all right. I mean, everybody I know haven't got it yet, so that's a pretty good thing.
Okay, well, that's pretty good. Me,
Yeah.
you know, me too. I just live in a
Uh-huh.
section of LA where I guess, you know, I don't. I know two people who had it and got better.
Mhm.
So but that's that close. Yeah.
How's the
Yeah,
weather?
I know
over there?
a few people too. Yeah.
What? Excuse me?
How's the weather over there right now?
Oh, well, it's cold. You know, I guess it's the same up there.
Yeah, well, we got a ton of snow the last couple of days.
Oh, no, we don't have any
Yeah.
snow.
That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very, holy cow, man. We could. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible.
So
I don't care. I'm sequestered. I don't go out. Well, except for, you know, to get supplies.
yeah, that's what we do too. I work and then I come home and don't do anything. So,
But the upside is I wrote 2 screenplays during
oh,
the
good,
semester.
cool.
Yeah.
What are they about?
One's what did I just had a really great description of it. One is it's a thriller. It's a comedy thriller. And the other one is, you know, it's in one house, you know, it's like a low budget thriller.
Mhm.
And then the other one is, but it's good. I'd like to be in it. And the other one is it's a bigger movie. It's a road comedy.
Okay.
Basically, it's Don Quixote on a motorcycle.
Oh, sweet. Is that the Emmett you're talking about?
Yeah,
The script?
The
Oh,
Outlaw.
cool.
It's called The Outlaw.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm pretty happy about that. I tell you, I locked myself in for a year, man.
Oh, wow.
But it was the COVID, so I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't miss anything. And you know, you got Zoom.
Yeah.
Which
Thank God,
is-
because we were like, oh, what are we going to do? We're going to just sit and maybe just go back through our old footage and kind of recut it. Or
Yeah, I mean, you don't know. Zoom is it's frustrating. It's very
Yeah, it
because
is.
you're not
I mean,
there. You know.
yeah.
You
I
need-
didn't want to do the shows live and put them on because if something happens, it's like, oh, because I had a friend who did that and his stuff kept cutting off. So,
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. and he
You
was
figure
doing
the
one
last-
once a
Yeah.
week.
The last bastion is, you know, well, at least we got Zoom. If you don't
Yeah.
have Zoom, man, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's may you live in the best of times.
Yeah.
I mean, or no, may you live in interesting times. I guess this is about as interesting as I want to get, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, my curiosity has been sated. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. Okay, no more.
Cool. So let's see here. We got a ton of questions. Do you want to start, David, or do you want me to ask?
You go ahead. You go ahead.
All right. Let's see here. Has there been someone in your life who you has influenced you the most, and if so, how?
Influenced me most.
Yeah.
Wow, man. I guess in a very strange way. Well, two people. Let me see. My grandfather, Bob Dylan, and Alan Meyerson.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I guess. Bob Dylan, just because of his music and stuff like that, and I really, you know, didn't like him when he first came out. You know, when I couldn't listen to him, it was too my ears weren't used to it. I come from a very protected family. I mean, no curiosity, no intellectual curiosity, no, you know, very right wing. It's crazy. This is really weird. It has nothing to do with politics. It's just a weird happening. Is that everybody in all my relatives, including my parents, are all right wingers, man, ever since I've been a kid. I mean, it's not like it happened yesterday.
Mm.
The entire relatives. I'm the only one who kind of stepped out of the political spectrum. So that's just really a weird fact. How did I escape? I don't, but I did escape. I mean, that's true. I escaped. That probably influenced me in some way, just all the relatives. And Alan Meyerson, and also I wanted to be a writer and Dylan. And when I was a stand-up comedian back in the day when I first got out of college and I didn't want to do anything, so I just went to Greenwich Village with my best friend in college, who was Carl Gottlieb, who wrote Jaws later to write Jaws. We didn't know it at the time, but. I guess Carl is a big, because he was the one who convinced me, don't go to Detroit and design cars for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, not hundreds, but a lot of money.
Yeah.
More money than, well, I ever saw in college. and until I got into, Escape from Alcatraz, that was the most money ever offered to me ever. But he said, no, let's go to Greenwich Village and just starve. And I thought, cool, man. Youth. But I was just trying to escape from everything. I was just trying to, I just want to shut the world down or away. I mean, so I went to Greenwich Village with him. That's how I got into show business. So he really did influence Carl Gottlieb. I would give it to him. And then I joined, I was doing stand-up and stuff like that. So the next person would be Alan Meyerson. And I was writing at the time, but like secretly. I would do my stand-up stuff in coffee houses. That's how I grew up to be in show business. Coffee houses. And I didn't know it, but years later, when I was in the committee and we were a big hit show, this is years and years later, we were a big hit show and people driving up from Hollywood to see this big, funny show that was like Second City, only very close. Dylan came to see the show because he was playing in Berkeley. So he came just with his road manager, that was all. No entourage. And he wanted to talk to me. I don't know. I didn't even know he knew I existed even. He wanted to talk to me. And he said, he had read something. Somebody gave him a poem, a long poem that I wrote in my spare time. And he thought it was really cool. And he wanted me to write a music video for him.
Oh, wow.
Well, it didn't happen. I did the music video for The Lovin' Spoonful instead. But just Bob Dylan asking me to do something for him, to write something for him, really influenced me.
Wow.
Who am I that he said, so I asked him, how do you even know I exist? Or I guess you saw me in the show because you're here, and you play in Berkeley. But I mean, you seem to have referenced something in Greenwich Village, and how what was that all about? Yes, I was in Greenwich Village. I didn't want to tell him that in Greenwich Village, people would bring me to see him because he was in Greenwich Village too. Everybody's unknown.
Yeah.
But him, I walked out on because I couldn't stand this. I didn't get it, man. His voice, his playing, his words. Later I came to go, wow, man, this guy is really cool.
Oh yeah.
So I was very, so that the impression, the being impressed by him, it influenced me in a really weird way. I mean, it had nothing to do with show business. It just, I guess I was worthy that this guy that I looked up to as a writer wanted me to write something for him. So that, more than the audience's, hey, or laughing at me, with me,
Yeah.
with me, I happen to, it meant something. Wait a minute, I should keep going. I'm doing good. If that guy likes me, probably other guys would too. So, so Carl and Alan Meyerson and BD, Bob, those three kind of, and then the other artists of the day.
Oh yeah. I was just thinking, you're talking about the screenplay, and then you're talking about Dylan wanted you to.
Yeah, you wanted me to write something like that.
Maybe you should ask him to be part of that movie.
Say that again?
I said, since Dylan wanted you to do something for him, and you got that new script coming, maybe you can get a hold of him and ask him to be part of the movie.
I have that. I mean, that happened. He probably has even forgotten the meeting.
Yeah.
That happened when I was, like 18 or 17 or.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure he probably seen your work too. Now.
Oh, I guess. I wouldn't know how to get in touch with him.
Yeah.
I'm trying to sell these screenplays, so I'm in Hollywood. I have a reputation, as an actor. So, people assume that I have contacts. But I dropped out about 5 years ago to write the screenplay and make my own things. I wanted to get it out of my head, all this stuff that had built up. Want to write. So that I had saved up enough money where I could, okay, goodbye. I'm going to just do my own thing now. So that was 5 years ago. And the two screenplays were part of the plan. I mean, it just happened to be sequestered, but I was going to write them anyway. And I made films during those 5 years. I made 5 film shorts, and they went around the world. They got prizes. And then I got an Academy Award nomination for one of them. So, I was doing okay. But my point being that with all that notoriety, being an actor and getting the nomination and stuff, it's still, because I was gone for 5 years, Hollywood has changed, man. Everybody I knew is either gone or doing something else or dead, or you can't get through. And because of the COVID thing, everybody's sequestered and working from home.
Yeah.
So all the offices, William Morris and you can't get a hold of them because the building is shut down. There's nobody in the buildings.
Yeah.
So they're all on, if you want to get in touch with me, get in touch with my secretary. And then the secretary is inundated with, here's what digital has done to Hollywood. You can't get through because with digital, everybody's on Zoom or internet, so the entire world, the planet Earth, is now writing screenplays and sending them to Hollywood. So everybody's writing a screenplay and sending them. So they're inundated. So they've shut down. It's like a walled city. They're, like the Jews on top of the mountain, man. What do you call that when you just won't let anybody else in?
Yeah, they're just so overwhelmed, right?
Yeah.
Totally overwhelmed. So even I, who know one or two people, you can't get through, man. It's just because nobody else. I don't know why, but everybody is sequestered. The entire world is under this thing. So they have all they want to do is write screenplays, I guess. So and here's the downside of that. You think, well, they would be getting great screenplays. They got everything to pick from. No, nobody knows the proper form except anybody within the United States and within California and within Hollywood. They know the proper form of what a screenplay looks like. Well, the people who have green lights, they now are refusing to read anything that is not in the exact proper format, it's called, format. And if it's not, and I've experienced this because I had scripts sent back to me. Well, the reader would say, Well, it's kind of good. I kind of like it, but the format is all wrong. So I'm not going to hand this in. So don't send it back to me. Well, there goes one.
Wow.
Yeah, but I have a connection. Too bad. Your format's bad. And don't and the writer, and don't send it back to me. Even if you correct it, the format. Don't send it back to me. You get one read, that's it. If it doesn't, and nobody has the right format. I'm telling you, they're down to like typos, man.
Mhm.
If you have too many typos, they will not read it. The reader will not hand it in because he'll get creamed for it. The saying is, you know, if you have a job in Hollywood already, like you're a reader, it's best to say no and you'll keep your job. So just say no and you got a paycheck every week. So it's really, it's a you know, what a conundrum. It's a conundrum.
Yeah.
It's a box within a box within a box within a, something Mark Twain said, or some
Yeah.
famous person said. So yeah, it's very frustrating. I mean, I've got like a couple of connections I can get it through, but then there's a waiting line. Okay, I finally got through. Yeah, well, we'll read it. We'll tell you in about 4 months. Okay. Wow, man. So you know, it's
it's
weird,
crazy.
but I think that's how business is. It's not just Hollywood and writers or the movies. I think it's,
Oh yeah.
you know, it's just anything, any business. It's everybody sequestered or whatever.
How it was like being on the Janet Jackson video. Did they ask you to do any dancing, or did they just want you background, or did they actually ask you to dance beforehand too?
No, that happened in a really very weird way. I mean, nothing like you would ever, or I would ever expect. No, I made my own film short. As a matter of fact, the film short that I was shooting called Sally's Diner, I needed you need the whole array of people who make movies. You know, you need a costume person, you need makeup people, you need a cameraman. So, you know, you just send out the word to friends because I didn't have a lot of money. So you just, you know, hey, you know, anybody who. So the costume lady, the costume girl at the time, I guess, you know, she's a young woman. She did the costumes for Sally's Diner, which got an Academy Award. That was the one that got the Academy Award nomination, not an award, a nomination. But the costume lady, about 6 months later, we had just finished it, nothing was going on. The costume lady called me and said, "Hey, I'm doing a Janet Jackson video. I'm doing the costumes for Janet Jackson, and they need somebody to stand behind the counter. You know, just to fill in. You're not going to do anything. You just, I don't know, make a soda for her or something. I don't know. It's nothing, but you get a paycheck.
Yeah.
That was the important thing. It's just, you know, you come in and you stand over there. That was all. So I said, fine, I'd like to meet Janet Jackson and I need the money. So yeah. And it was, you know, in Hollywood. So I went and they just had me stand behind the counter, but I guess the cameraman, I think I said to Janet, I think my entire conversation was, well, where do you want me to stand? And I think she said, don't ask me, ask the director. Okay, cool.
Oh.
So that was it. That's my entire, you know, but the entire family came down, all the brothers, all of her brothers, except for Michael. He didn't show up. We were all where he was supposed to show up. He was because that was the one thing that the big takeaway from that experience, even though, you know, I was just there. And they just hung together and I never talked to them. They, you know, they just hung back. But every time Janet was on, they clapped and, yeah, go Janet, yeah. The family response to each other was really great. You wanted to have a family like that. If you had to do something or perform, you wanted your family there to, you know, be in your corner. And man, were they. That was amazing. No wonder they were so good at what they did. I mean, they were all going, yeah, Janet, go, yeah. You know, every time the camera, the director yelled, "Cut." They go, "Yeah, hey, Janet, great, yeah, yeah." Oh wow, man! You know, come with me. I want you when I do my stuff. You know, that was amazing. I just blew my.
When you do these roles, all these kind of roles, did they just let you do your own thing, or they say, okay, this is what they want you to do? Because a lot of times it looks like it's ad lib, and it's really great.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, after a while, they just let me go. But because I happened to be doing the right thing, my instincts were correct. But in the beginning, are you kidding? Because I come from improv. I mean, that's all I know how to do. I don't know how to memorize lines. What the hell is that all about? It's a lot of work. Being an actor is, you know, you think, wow, man, you're on the screen, you got all these fans, you're getting $1 million a minute. No, it's nothing like that. It's all hype, man. It's a job. It's a job like, you know, being a typist or unless you're a star. But you know how many stars are in Hollywood?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, let me put it this way. Do you know the percentage of stars to actors? It's like unfathomable or unfathomable. I don't know what the word. I mean, you know, there's maybe, let's say 1,000 stars. When I say stars, I mean someone who can carry a movie. If you get that person in the movie, you can make the movie. You get the money for the movie because of that person. Maybe there's 1,000. There's 100,000 actors out here. You know, and you're going to auditions and you're getting callbacks. And I'm telling you the downside because nobody talks about the downside. Well, how did you get the, you know, what were you thinking when you were doing the part and stuff like that? It's all after the fact. After you've, you know, driven 100 miles doing auditions for like 3 weeks and, you know, finally get one and you're thanking God you can pay the rent. You know, after all that, yeah, then you... And then you do that for a couple of months. Yeah, then I say, can I change this word? No, you say it the way it is, you know, because you're nobody. And then one day, you know, hey, man, can I say this? They go, yeah, sure, say whatever you want. What happened? You know, all of a sudden the sky opened up. But that's after all this drudgery and stuff. And then they go, oh, yeah, you want to do that? And then every once in a while I say, well, don't. But at least they talk to you like a human being, you know, you discuss it. Well, I don't know. Or maybe try it. No, that's later. That's when you're established. But in the beginning, it's just a crapshoot, man. It's not fun. And that's why you have to have fire in your belly, man, or forget it. You know, there's enough actors. There's enough actors to keep going for years. If there was never another person who wanted to be an actor, Hollywood would do fine without you, without me, without anybody else. So I discourage people from becoming actors because it's heartbreaking. It really is. So you got to have fire in your belly. You got to want it, man, and you got to go through some shit. But and then you might make it, and there's a lot of dreams that are crushed. I never hear, the reason I'm telling you this is because I never hear anybody talk about this. This is like a verboten subject. Like, you know, like you can't say this word, you can't say that
like
word.
Taboo or
something. You can't tell. What?
It's like taboo. It's taboo to talk about.
Nobody wants to talk about it. I've seen interviewers interviewing actors about their craft. Well, it remains about the craft, about going to school, you know, acting school and learning this and that. And that's what they talk about. And then what's the backstory of that role? And they talk about that. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's no downside to talking about the backstory or learning the craft. But nobody tells you about the drudgery, the going out to the valley and driving. I auditioned for Seinfeld. That's like, now this is not my words, but these are words told to me. This is an iconic role, you know, Tom Pepper. I auditioned 5 times for that thing. I was the only guy who looked anywhere near what Michael Richards looked like. There was like fat, short, bald, mustache, bearded people, actors, auditioning for that. 5 times, and it's supposed to pay you after 3 times. It's supposed to pay you, not much, but they're supposed to pay you if you audition more than 3 times. They never even brought it up, and they had me do, come through the door again. Come through the door like Michael Richards. Come through the door like Michael Richards. 5 times, dude. Nobody talks about that. How many times did you audition for it? How hard did you beg for this role? Yeah, I stopped calling it auditioning. I called it begging. Well, I'm going to go beg for a role now. I'll be back. I'll see you in a while. Yeah. And then once you get over that hump, and where okay, we trust this guy. We've seen him in a couple of things. He knows what he's doing. He hits his mark. He doesn't step out of his light. Do you remember what? I remember. Yeah, so he knows what he's doing. Okay, you can change that word. You can improvise in the background for Janet Jackson, that video. I was nobody. This is the beginning of my career. I was maybe in Hollywood for maybe a year, but I was nobody. But on the set of Janet Jackson's video, where they had enough money, Janet Jackson did, to pay the crew, the people who were going to make the movie, the cinematographer, the costume thing. But everybody else was just like me. I mean, they just extras, dancers, blah, blah, blah. So no, I couldn't change anything. It was just after I had done some shooting where the director was watching the framing and he was seeing this guy in the background there. Now he seems to know what he's doing. So, when I asked him, I said, well, what do you want me to do? He said, well, do anything you want. That was like, wow, the first time somebody gave me permission, but it wasn't a Hollywood thing. It was they didn't even think Janet Jackson, it would go very far. I mean, the people making it, they had done tons of videos for, big stars.
Well, Paul Abdul's in that video too, but you have more time on that video than she does.
Yeah, see, yeah, so blah, blah, blah. But then one day, you just go up and say, can I do this? And they go, oh, sure. And I made it. I got over the hump. Now, and then it's what you think. And it's what you guys know. Hey, it's fun. You're getting a lot of money. You can say what you want. And then later on, then you guys see it and you think, hey, the guy's cool. He's improvising back there. Yeah, but I had to go through, the hump.
I think we want to talk to you now about something we've been wanting to talk about since we knew you were coming on the show. There's a picture back here. I don't know if you can see right here. We want to talk to you about the Mummy Daddy. Do you remember that episode in Amazing Stories? The Mummy Daddy?
Oh,
Amazing Stories?
The Mummy.
Yeah. What was it like working on the set with Brian James and Tracy Walter and that whole experience?
Tracy Walter is cool to work with. He's a good guy. We were friends for a little while. I haven't seen him in years. Mm-hmm. But back then he was, to me, that he was an icon to me because he did the parts I wanted to do. So that's why I liked working with him. And he was very friendly and a good guy to work with. Some actors are just, like Brian. But again, that was way in the beginning. So I was in awe of everything, or I was stumped by what was going on. I never wanted to be an actor ever. To this day, I don't want to be an actor. It's the money is good. I have fun in front of the camera, and then when they let you improvise, or not fully improvise, but loosen up, just get a little looser. that's good and that's fun. And then I go, well, I'm earning my money and I feel good about what I did. But back then, no, I was still trying to get over the hump. So I wasn't paying attention to who I was working with. I was just trying to do my job and hit my light. I was trying to not get fired.
No.
That's what I was trying to do. So whatever was going on or whoever I was working with, I was trying to remember my lines. I'm dyslexic. I have ADHD. I have OCD. So I have to pay attention when I get on the set because I'm distracted. I mean, it took me not years, but a long time to just forget about everybody standing around and the lights and the camera. I was an improviser. We had nothing. You get up out on stage and you make up everything. You make up the sky. And then all of a sudden these lights and all this and this hubbub and the importance. Nothing was important in improv. You fuck up, you just keep on going. Somebody else will come in with a good line. Maybe your screw up turned it into a very funny piece of business. It's all right now. But, I'm surrounded by these lights and everybody's getting paid more money than me, and I don't, stand over there. Okay. And should I improvise? Hey, what are you doing? Why? Don't do that. But you get a lot of that. Hey, stop. What are you doing?
So you talk about your love for ad-libbing, and then you were in Second City, and a bunch of people that are on SNL that come from Second City. Did you ever audition for Saturday Night Live?
No, I don't think Saturday Night Live is funny, frankly. I wanted to be on it because if I could get on there, I'd be famous. That was, but I never, because I never wanted to be an actor. In other words, you have to have a drive towards something to be successful at it. You just can't, I think I'll go on Saturday Night Live. I was never driven to be there. I mean, I met Belushi because they threw a party. So we were all invited to a party backstage one night. I don't know who I was or who I was with or how I got there. But I was an actor, and they say, "Hey, there's a thing up there. Let's upstairs. Let's go." So there was all the SNL people, Belushi and Aykroyd, and Belushi was just now. See, there's a guy who wanted it. Now this is before he was John Belushi, before he was famous. He had just gotten on the show. I think it was maybe their first year, so they had a party for the opening of the second year, whatever it was. And he stood out. I mean, he wasn't, I'd seen him on TV. I'd watched Saturday Night Live. I was in the committee. We were checking out all the funny people. And John Belushi was funny. Checked them out. I thought, well, I'll get to meet John Belushi. Let me see what that's like. Then we went to the party and John Belushi was there and he was talking to everybody, man. He just came up to me. He was rapping with me. And I thought, well, yeah, you're okay. I know you're John Belushi. I mean, this is what I was thinking, but I can see why you're famous. I mean, he was just fucking driven, man. I mean, you could just see it. It was, obviously he was, well, not obviously, I'm assuming, because that's what entered my mind. Oh, well, he's on cocaine right now. I mean, that's what I thought. But even if he wasn't, or he was, I never found out. I didn't care. This guy's going somewhere. Besides, he will not be stopped. That was my review of meeting John Belushi. Get out of his way. That was all I was thinking.
I just saw the documentary on him, and yeah, you're exactly right. He was so passionate and driven in the beginning. And then it just started to die down afterwards, like toward the last year.
That's like the same thing. He
wasn't passionate that he was in the beginning.
The same thing with Elvis. I mean, hey, you start taking a lot of drugs, and it starts to wear you down. You got a lot of energy in you. If you're healthy, and then you start doing drugs, they're feeding off that energy. The drugs are using that energy to get you high. I mean, in a chemical way, but they're using up the chemicals that are getting you healthy high. and they're feeding off of that. They are like marijuana, which is a harmless drugs. I mean, I smoke. You know, you can get it, you can buy it, but
Yeah.
it burns vitamin C. I mean, that's just LSD burns vitamin C and a couple of other vitamins. I mean, they use it. What do you think? Drugs are just. It's just so after a couple of years, you're drained. Every mouthful you take of food is going to feed the drugs, not you. And to keep them powerful, keep the drugs keeping you high. But people don't think about that. You know, the lucky thing about me and the committee, or all of us in the committee, was there was a doctor. I mean, we were in the center of the 60s. Everybody was overdosing on every kind of drugs you could think of. But there was a doctor who was a doctor in the daily newspaper. There was a doctor who gave you drug advice. You know, if you're high, if you like flashbacks for LSD or heroin or cocaine, if you take too much of that, I mean, you're going to get sick or fucked up, man.
Yeah.
So, and I look, in the 60s, I was not innocent. I did as much as I could get in me, but I started to see where the drain was happening. And as soon, because there's one thing I revered was performing, whether it's in a movie or on stage. No, that was my passion. In front of an audience or a camera, I light up. I mean, it has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with me. It's just, that's what happens. And I saw that it was starting to affect my performance. And it just had to happen once. It had to happen once. I just got high and screwed up on stage. And then I just tried it once more on the Smothers, on the Playboy Club television show. My friends brought some hash in. I'd never done hash and I'd never gotten high except once in the committee, and then I never did it again. In performance. It just affects my performance in a bad way. So I just, if it affects my performance, then forget it. And then on the Playboy Club, all my friends came to see me on the Playboy Club TV show in the green room. And then I thought, oh, well, this is what rock and roll is all about, I was thinking. Oh, your friends come and you get high in the dressing room and then you go out and perform. And that's this fantasy I had, because it was, Hugh Hefner and the Smothers Brothers were on, and me. And so they gave me some hash, and I'm in the green room smoking hash. It's the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life. I mean, really, I've done some stupid things. But to smoke a lot of hash before you went on television in front of Hugh Hefner and Tommy Smothers. Well, I totally screwed up. I mean, I blew I was on the reason I was on the Playboy Club was I was on the Playboy Club circuit. I was opening for big acts. So that's a lot of money. And you're just a stand-up. And I was a young kid, It was great. And then they invited me on the TV show, and I got hash, and I did it on the TV show, and that, boom, Hefner just cut me off the rest of the tour of the Playboy. So that cost me. And Tommy Smothers came into my dressing room after the show, because I had 10 minutes. They gave me 10 minutes to do my shtick. You just sat on the couch, and Hugh Hefner would throw you leading questions to feed you into your next bit. He would say, well, what about this? And then you go, blah, blah. So there was the Playboy Club. There was me, Tommy Smothers, his brother Smothers, Hugh Hefner. On this side was 2 Playboy bunnies and another guest. And so Hugh was interviewing me. He would interview this thing. Hey, Larry, okay. And I knew I had 10 minutes to do my shtick. Hey, Larry. I lasted for a minute and a half or 2 minutes, I think. And then he goes, oh, well, thank you very much, Larry. And the Smothers Brothers tried to do my act for me. He said, well, what about this, Larry? And I would go, well, it's like, and Tommy would just cut in and say, well, what he means to say is, and he would do my bit. He would do the bit that was set up for me to do. He had memorized it. Tommy had memorized it. And he did it, but it was too late. I mean, I could see Hugh Hefner saw I was totally fucked up. He said, "Thank you very much, Larry." I go into my dressing room. The guy goes, "What the fuck, man?" They were watching it. They say, "You didn't do anything, man. They just skipped over you." You know, completely jumping over the fact that I was high on camera, and you could see my eyes were all red. And then Tommy Smothers, he comes in. He goes, "Oh, Tommy, what the fuck did you do?" And he just read the riot act to me. You were totally fucking fucked up. You were so high, man. You know, you blew it, man. We were talking you up backstage and before the show. You know, we were talking you up. You're a funny guy. Don't you ever do that. It was like my father, man. But it sunk in. I never, after that, no. I mean, I would get high, but never in preparation or in performance, you know. It just doesn't work for me. Other guys can do it. I mean, you know, especially the rock and roll bands, but
It's
not
funny
me.
too, because they were like real big pot smokers too.
Yeah, that's what
So
I
it's
thought.
like,
That's what I
why are they
thought.
telling you?
You know, but not for my comedy. And I know other comedians who would get high, you know, smoke a joint. I mean, I'm not talking about heavy stuff, but I'm talking about marijuana. And because I guess hash is even stronger than marijuana, but it's not like heroin or coke.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that much about it. All I know is that, yeah, some comedians can do it. The bands can do it. I can't. For what I think because of the dyslexia and the OCD and the ADHD. I mean, I just got too many wires are crossed in here. I mean, you cross another wire and it just, it's just, so, you know, I mean, there's certain things you can do, certain things you can't do. Know the difference, and you'll be cool if you know the difference. So, on that one thing, and you know, it just like you don't curse in church, you know, or to your mom. You know, you just don't do it. Well, that's all.
Or do it after the show. So I was looking at some of your interviews online yesterday and the day before. Now, did you have a bad experience with Adam Sandler, or you just didn't like him? Because you were saying how wasn't exciting Billy Madison was, or his performance.
Well, we were both young. Let me put it that way. I mean, we had just two different ideas. We still do have two different ideas of what comedy is. The same thing with Michael Richards. I mean, you know, he's a funny guy. Adam's a funny guy. I'm a funny guy. Just three different funnies. I don't, you know, we never, Adam was just young and he was full of himself and I just didn't buy it. So I just didn't want to have anything to do with him. And he was doing stupid things, you know, stupid, childish, you know, grade school humor. I mean, there was a grade school movie. I mean, all the kids in grade school watched it.
Yeah.
I still get fans. I go, you know, oh man, I saw you in, you know, Billy Madison, man, that was so cool. And I only have one question for these fans, for Adam's fans, when they say that. You saw me in Billy Madison? Yeah, man, that was so cool, man. How many times did you see it? Oh man, it must have been like 100 times, easy. Right, all of them. How many times did you see the movie? 75 times, man. I grew up on it. Wow. So Adam knows his fans, his fan base. They're not my fan base.
Is there someone that if you watch movie, I don't know how much movies you watch these days, maybe being, you know, stuck inside more so now, but is there anyone like these days that you're like, you see them on screen since you've been in the industry so long that you see them in movies or whatever, and you're like, wow, this person, you know, male or female,
I did.
They're doing it right. They're doing it good. I mean, is there anyone that you look at and you're like, wow, they're doing it great?
Apatow.
Apatow?
going away right now. I mean, there's others, but right this second, Apatow. The King of Staten Island. Have you seen that?
Yeah, that's really good with Pete Davidson.
Fucking, are
Yeah.
you kidding? That's a masterpiece right
Yeah.
there. He captured a family, a Staten Island, and Peterson. That's his name, Peterson, right?
No, Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson.
Yeah.
Pete Davidson. Masterful. He'll never be able to do that again as long as he lives.
Yeah.
I hope he does.
Yeah.
I hope he does. It's a brilliant performance, but it was him.
Mhm.
You know, he brought Peter Davidson
Mhm.
to the film, and Apatow kept him there.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, all the
you-
supporting characters too,
Yeah.
like Marissa Tomei and even Bill
Whoa,
Burr.
yeah.
Bill Burr is a serious role in that one.
Bill Burr, my
Yeah.
favorite. He's
Really good. I like Bill Burr.
Oh, he's the best.
Yeah.
His stand-up is the best.
Yeah.
But he carried it off.
Mm.
But Davidson, Jesus, man, I Escape from Alcatraz is the closest I could come
Mm-hmm.
to saying what I did to close as what Davidson did in The
Mhm.
King of Staten Island. Just the rawness, the
Yeah.
truth
Oh yeah.
of his line readings when he questions somebody. What are you doing? God damn it, man. I've watched it 3 times. I'll keep on watching.
I think it's autobiographical because I think
Well,
it's basically loosely based on his life.
Loosely,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Apatow and 2 other people wrote it with him.
Yeah.
But yes, it was
Yeah.
based on his life. That's
Yeah.
why I say, Peter, I hope you can. But I saw him on Saturday Night Live one night,
Mhm.
a couple of days ago, last Saturday. Gone already. They just
Yeah.
slapped it out of him.
Yeah.
He's getting fat and happy. It's just dead. Peter. But yeah, I mean, if you never done another thing, you did it, man. I mean, that's De Niro
Mhm.
area,
Yeah.
territory. No, I mean, you know, Peter is. I've never. I saw his stand up. You know, he's got a
Mhm.
stand up. It's great. He's totally relaxed. He's very. You know, he's a critical thinker. I can't say enough about him. I mean, it just because I haven't, because I was sequestered in writing for so long, a year and a half actually, and I've only now just been starting to watch movies. And
Mhm.
when I've seen now 5 movies. I don't even remember their names, but Apatow, I've watched 5 movies, and one of them I watched 3 times.
No.
The King of Staten Island. Apatow is amazing in his observance and ability to remember and use real people's real dialogue. Only he massages it. That's not real dialogue. That's the first thing one of the first things I learned about writing. Real dialogue is not real dialogue in a movie, but real dialogue in a movie sounds totally real,
Mhm.
but people don't talk that succinctly in a scene. But Apatow is able to capture the essence of real dialogue and write it down into an arc of a scene. And David, geez, I just can't get over it. That's why I watch him as an actor. I watch him as an actor.
Mhm.
That truth. I mean, that relaxation of and ease. So to answer your question, now, there's no other movies I've seen who have blown me away. But Apatow consistently blows me away with his movies, his films, just as films.
Yeah.
The closest I can see come to him would be, as far as capturing a laugh and a truth of a laugh, is John Hughes, like in Trains, Planes, and Automobiles.
Mhm.
That would be comparable to the reality and the realness of his humor. Trains, Planes, and Automobiles, and The King of Staten Island. But my favorite film of all time. Now I haven't seen it in a couple of years, but it was up until then. I saw it when I was very young. It's called Man Bites Dog. It's a feature. It's a mockumentary. It's not a real documentary, but it looks real as hell. Totally real. It's black and white, and it was done by 3 German film school students in Germany for their senior thesis. They made this film, and you can get it. It's fairly famous in the underground, but you can Google it, and I think you can get it on the internet if you just say "Man Bites Dog," German.
Yeah.
And there's and it has a translation underneath. It was 3 students, and they wrote it themselves, and they filmed it themselves, and they act in it themselves. And 2 of them play 2 German film school students doing their senior thesis, and the third guy doing the thesis is a drunk in a bar, an obnoxious drunk in a bar. And this is the premise. The 2 guys walk into a bar. 2 guys walk into a bar. 2 film school students, 2 German film school students walk into a bar, and they're drinking and complaining about they don't have an idea for their film school thesis, for their senior thesis. And they're drinking, and down at the bar is this noisy drunk who happens to be, one of the students. But he's really funny, man. He's this tall, thin guy. And he's drunk, and he really knows how to play it. He's drunk, and he's drunk. And they say, what the hell? Let's do a film about that guy. I mean, he's so ridiculous and stupidly drunk that it is kind of, well, maybe you could do a film about him drunk. I don't know. So they moved down there, and they said, well, let's just keep buying him drinks and see what he's so drunk about, or we'll find out. So they moved down, and they're buying him drinks. 1, 2, 3. And finally, they tell you, well, where are you from? Who are you? What's your background? What are you doing? And the guy's so drunk and so stupidly obnoxious that he confesses that he's a serial killer. And they go, really? And they go, yeah, fucking guys kill people. So they go, this would be a great film, for a thesis. So they keep on feeding him drinks, and they go, hey, we're film school students. Wouldn't it be cool to be in a movie? We'll make you famous. You'll be famous all over the world. Even if you get captured, this'll live forever. You'll be really famous. And it's really great, man. Wow, man, I'll be famous. And he buys it. So they have him sign a little paper saying, hey, you can follow me. I'm a serial killer. And he's so drunk, he signs it. Okay. And they get his phone number. The next day they show up. Now he's cold sober, and they go to his home, knock on his door. He lives in an apartment house. You go to his door, and yeah. And he says, remember? Oh, yeah, I remember you. And now he's sober, and they're confronting him with, they know who he is. You're a serial killer. We know that. So we will turn you in. But let us do it, and you become famous, and we won't, we won't do it. And he goes, I like it. And he lets them. That's the setup. The rest of the movie is them making a documentary as he murders people. It's incredible. And
Wow.
it's a satire, and it's funny, but it's real, man. It's just cool. And it's done, these guys were, I guess, 19, 20, and 21. And now, and all 3 of them. And the guy who's playing the serial killer is brilliant. I mean, he's really into it. And not in an over-the-top way. I mean, he's real, and he's funny, and he's a murderer. And they're filming it. And they really do film. I mean, they're not killing people.
Yeah.
This is a movie, and it's fake, but you cannot tell. There's even, they do, it's, I don't want to spoil it. They get into it. And it won many prizes. I mean, oh, holy cow. But if you can sit through it, it's.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We watch a lot of films, so that's something I'm going to put on my list.
Check it out. I mean, I haven't seen it in about 7 or maybe 10 years. I haven't seen it in about 10 years. But up until then, I saw it when I was around in my 20s. and I would watch it every once in a while up until about 10, 15 years ago. And it always held up and it always just blew me away. I just lost track of it because I was doing other things. So I hope it holds up. And it held up all the way through, for about 30 years. It was magnificent. So I gave you three that, if you just watch those three, you learn how to make films and how to act, because there's all good stuff all throughout all those. But what you can do if you have no money, I mean, that's a brilliant film, is no money. And then Escape from Alcatraz is a brilliant film. Oh, I'll tell you another one that blew my mind. And one that you would never think of. Jaws.
Oh, yeah? Well, that's a class. It's obvious.
No,
classic,
Jaws. Is,
Well, it's too obvious. You don't think of it. It's Jaws, man. How good could it be? It's so famous. It's brilliant.
it is.
That's
it is.
why.
I have
It's
to agree.
fucking brilliant. Man.
It's incredible movie. It's an incredible movie.
And how great is it to see you now in 4K HD? It's like you're almost there now. You see everything so sharp and vivid.
Yeah, but, I
sound.
mean, just the camera moves alone. Just the camera moves alone, and the framing, the camera moves. Never mind the acting and the story. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, Spielberg, obviously Spielberg.
Yeah.
But so those are three. You could spend the rest of your life if you wanted to be a filmmaker. But there are others. Another one that, I mean, I never, nobody ever asked me these questions. But, another one is that. In other words, how did he? It's so good. How did they do that? Is The Invisible Man, the one that's now, or just I guess last year.
The one with Elizabeth
Did
Moss.
you hear about it or hear
the female
name?
one with Elizabeth Moss?
Who?
The one with the actress Elizabeth Moss, the new one?
I think so, where she puts on an invisible suit.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
That is really good too, yeah.
Because it's totally different than all the three that I
it's a different
told you.
take. And you're like shocked because of all these scenes you're like, well, you wouldn't expect. What
Yeah.
happens? Yeah.
There's nothing happening, but there's everything happening.
I don't think David saw it because he's like, what? No.
No, it's okay. I'll check it out.
Yeah,
I'll still
it's
check it
really
out.
good. It's a new take on Invisible Man. You'd like it.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a new take on how to make a movie.
Yeah.
Because of those scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, he has to see
Where
it.
it's all in
I
your
was
head.
really impressed with it.
I was impressed with the fact that he got into my head that you are the movie, not the movie.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could go on, but it takes me a while to think of, because I don't generally talk about films I've seen. I just bury it, and then when I write a screenplay, I find out, oh man, it's coming out of my fingers. Some typing. So I did see it and I did learn something. But if you had asked me right after the movie, okay. It's interesting how writing comes through. If you can just forget, how I learned. Everybody learns differently. I learned the guitar at an elder age. So you're very conscious of learning as you get older. When you're a kid, you just pick up the guitar and you fool around with it. I mean, you're trying to pick and get the chords right and everything, but it's a totally different mindset of learning when you're a kid than when you're older. You're just too self-conscious about how stupid you feel, not being able to get it like that. But as a kid, you don't mind. You're not thinking about getting it like that. You just want to get it. That's all. And but I learned that you can learn faster the guitar if you let your fingers learn, not your mind. Get your fucking mind out. Your mind has nothing to do with music, making music. You show your fingers what to do, and then just let them do it. Just don't think about it. And you can play, and if you think about it, then it's really slow. And I put my finger here and then there. What, are you kidding? No. Just, but anyway, so I learned to do that with other things like acting. Get your mind out of it, You can memorize lines faster if you're not thinking about how slow you're learning. Just let it go. Your body is amazing. Just the whole thing. It just picks up shit. Like You watch a movie. Now, here's the thing. I don't understand this, but this is how it goes for everything.
Mhm.
And you watch a movie and you go see the movie. You're not thinking about memorizing a movie. You're watching a movie, you look at the story, blah, blah, blah. And then, 5 days later, the guy says, hey, did you see that movie? Blah, blah, blah. And you go, oh, yeah, I saw it 5 days ago. Wasn't much. I didn't like it. Okay. Oh, no, I loved it. And you go, what'd you like about it? Well, that scene where you go, blah, 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 blah. Oh, that scene? No, I didn't like that scene. Now, wait a minute. You just saw an hour and a half movie. You know how many scenes there are in that movie? 100, 200, 500 scenes, He brings it up, you know exactly what he's talking about. You memorized it. You got it. You remember the thing when he held the fork? Yeah, I remember that. How did you remember that? You weren't thinking about remembering that. That's what I'm talking about. It's that part of memorization. That's memorization. The other part is just trying. There's no try. There's just do or not do. That's what he's talking about.
Says. I have maybe just one more quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Friends reunion is about to be being filmed pretty soon.
Yeah.
Have they asked you to come on to talk about Friends?
I'm sorry. Say, what was the last part of that?
They're filming a Friends reunion special pretty soon.
Yeah.
Have they asked you to come and talk about Mr. Heckles?
Why would they do that?
Well, I think it's a reunion special. Like,
oh no, they've invited me to the reunion.
Yeah.
But they just said, "Hey, we're having a reunion. You're invited." It's June or July 17th.
Okay.
It's June or July. It's a J 17th.
Yeah.
But no, I know it's a reunion, but I don't know. I was just hoping they would invite me because I thought when I left some hard feelings back then. I shouted at them in public.
Well, I know, like in the Fresh Prince, they had a reconciliation after they had a bad rap with the mom. So I thought maybe, went to this, put the water under the bridge and have everybody that was on Friends, even Mr. Heckles come in this talk and have a party.
Yeah. I as I get older, I'm starting to think that a lot of these arguments and bad blood and bad feelings I have about different jobs and everything was all in my head. I've asked a couple of people about, hey, remember that argument we had about the thing? What argument? Well, I wasn't mad. I don't know. Yeah, you seemed like a little out of sorts, but I wasn't mad. No, it's all in my head. I get that's the OCD. I guess. I mean, I don't know where it comes from. My parents say whatever. God knows, but I do get angry about certain things. And I think that the other person is trying to fight me or disagree, and no. So maybe it's water under the bridge, and maybe it's just in my head. But,
or you can just tell them you owe me a waffle or a cat.
yeah. I mean, but the writing of that part was brilliant. I mean, I'm famous for that. People,
and it was like you weren't even really angry. You just had this real soft-spoken voice when you were talking.
It was passive aggressive. It was. I worked. I thought a long time just about where is this guy coming from, and that was the key. You don't know where is this guy come. What is his backstory? I couldn't figure out a backstory that would get me to the place, but it was on the page. That's another thing that a great actress once told me. I think it was Lucille Ball. But if you have trouble with the part, the information is on the page or it doesn't exist. It's the screenplay. If the screenplay is well written, any question you have about your character is in the screenplay. And if it's not in the screenplay, it's a bad screenplay, or you're just not looking hard enough. And you gotta, you don't know what you're doing. And I've talked to many directors and actors and actresses after that, and they all pretty much agree. It's on the page. So Heckles was written perfectly well. And I just played what I saw on the page, and that's what came out because I couldn't figure out where he was coming from. So thank you, the writer. There was 2 or 3 writers for, I did 5 shows.
Mark Hoffman was one of them, I think.
And the one where I was fired, the last one I did, where I died, was written by a young first-time writer who that was his first assignment. They said, okay, you've been in the writer's room long enough. We're going to give you one. You write the next, write an episode. Just write the whole episode. It's yours. And you have like a month to write it. So when I was killed, I went on the set. That's when I was angry. And I thought everybody else was angry at me. I went up to him and I said, did you write this? He goes, yeah. I said, why did you kill me? I really wanted to know. I wanted to punch him. Because I had done 5. That's a one-off. But if you do 6, you're a recurring, and that is a huge bump. And I didn't get it, so I want to know why he killed me. And he said, no, they needed the room, they needed the apartment for Chandler because he had just been kicked out of their apartment, and they didn't think. This is really weird, but the producers didn't think who had wanted Chandler kicked out of the apartment for a continuation of the episodes. They didn't think of where they're going to put him. If they kicked him out of the apartment, he'd have to live in another place, in another building. Well, how do they get him each week back into the apartment? That was like too hard a lift. So they thought, well, kick out one of the tenants, kick out Mr. Heckles, have him die, and we'll give him the apartment because it was right across the street, across the hallway. See, they wanted Mr. Heckles to be close to them so I could be a recurring. But when they were in a bind and didn't know where to put Chandler, whoa, the apartment is right next door. He can just come across, put him in Chandler. Okay, so kill Heckles. So that's how I found out how I died. So it was just a fluke. So he said, no, I didn't write it. They told me to, but they told me because they didn't know what to write. He said, so they said, write an episode about your favorite friend's character, recurring character. And he said, you were recurring. You had recurred 5 times. So he didn't know about the definition. He said, you recurred 5 times. You were my favorite character. I'll write it about you. And you lived because I wanted to write more things about you. And then the producers came in and said, hey, look, we need an apartment for Chandler. You're going to have to change the ending for Mr. Heckles. Just give him a heart attack. It was just like that. Boom.
Yeah.
Boom. So I said, oh, okay, well, fine. Then it wasn't you. And that's when I went over and hollered at them. And I thought they were mad at me. So, but they weren't. So I got invited back. Okay. I really do have to go.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Larry,
Thank you, guys.
for taking the time with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for
All
having
right.
the time for me.
We really had fun, and maybe we
Let
can
me
do
know
it again.
when it's on. Oh, by the way, can
Yeah.
I just do a commercial here for the reallarryhankin.com? That's my website.
Sure.
Go there. There's paintings. Those paintings. You see that painting? You see this painting? How do you?
Well, I
do
see
that?
you go the other way. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that
This
says like
way and
hell.
this way. There
Yeah.
you go. Those are my paintings. You got 40 of them there. You can buy them. You can get these on T-shirts. There's my film shorts are on there. Funny little film shorts I make. TheRealLarryHankin.com. Not LarryHankin.com because somebody stole it and they were holding it as hostage and I won't pay. So I got TheRealLarryHankin.com. Somebody stole my name. How do you like that? That's not fair.
Man, that's not fair.
It's life. Okay. Bye. I got
All right. Thank you,
All right.
Larry.
Bye.
This has
We'll
been
see you
Patrick and David with Mad Bros Media with the legendary Larry Hankin.
Send me the
Hi,
link.
folks. All right. I will.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Uh,